Going on now to section 5. And here we're going to do some adding. But you'll notice that some of the numbers are with different signs. So we are adding unlike sign numbers. Now, again, you should probably do this without your calculator. But if you do it with your calculator, just putting in the correct signs give you the answers. But a technique might be add your two negatives together. Well, that's going to give you a negative 22. And then you have a positive 12. And the rule is you subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger, and you get a 10. And then you use the sign of the larger absolute value. And that gives you a negative 10. Now here, they're all negative, so you know the sign will be negative. And you just add these up. There's a 28, 32. Now here, they are common denominators in our fractions, so we don't have to change anything. We just have to organize it. And I'm not going to do it live because that would take too much time. Here we have to change our denominators. It looks like it's going to be a 12, so we'll have to multiply this by 3 and this one by 3, watching the signs. And then here, notice that there's some grouping symbols. Out of the absolute value sign, it's positive, but then you're going to apply that negative. So there's a little bit of challenge in here. And the same here. So let's pause and work some of these out. Okay, a couple of things going on here. I guess we're right there. Now, what I chose to do is put this by itself. Here I put this negative here together, put the negative 7 out there, put the positive 1 out there, and then I put the positive 2 7s there. So then this added up to a negative 7 plus 2 gave me a 5 7ths. Then I had a positive 1 and a negative 7 gave me my negative 6. So that's the way I did it. Again, there may be other ways to do it. I tried to make it something simple, so hopefully, you get something out of it. Now here we had to convert our denominator of 4 to a 12, so I multiplied it by a 3, then I multiplied the numerator by a 3, because this is a 1. So I have a negative 5 now and a negative 3 over 12, which gave me a negative 8 over 12, which reduces to a negative 2/3. Now here, a negative 5 and a negative 3 are a negative 8, but it comes out of the absolute value as a positive 8. Then I apply this negative. And then this negative 14 comes out as a positive 14. And this negative 2 is just a negative 2. So I added these two together and got a negative 10 plus 14 gave me my 4. Now this is a negative 50. This adds up to a negative 20, but comes out of the absolute sign as a positive. And this became a positive 5, comes out as a positive. So this adds up to 25 minus 50 gave me a negative 25 over 5 to the 5th power. Now I realize that 25 is 5 to the 2nd power. You may not have been able to pick that out, but that's a good technique. And then I just took out 5 to the second out of here, which left me with 5 to the third. I don't know if we got to that part yet or not, but dealing with exponents, we're just going to subtract them. 2 from 5 give me 5 to the third. Again, that's a -1 still up on the top. And I want to be sure I put my negative in there. There we go. And then now that's correct. 5 to the third is 125. And then here, again, I got a -8, but it comes out of the absolute value as a positive. And this was a -11, but comes out of the absolute as a positive. And that just gave me 19. Here, when both signs are the same, we just add them up, and there's our answer. Now here, when we find the sum of a negative and a positive, remember we subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger, and that gave me a 15. And then we use the sign of the larger absolute value. And again, if you're putting that in your calculator, that's what you're going to get. Okay. Now, for these next few, we're practicing vocabulary. The additive inverse, or the opposite, is what we add to something to make it 0. So it's usually just the opposite sign. So here, it would be a positive 0.45. Here, this is a absolute. It comes out as a positive. Oh, I put that extra little mark in there. So the additive inverse of an absolute value is always going to be negative. And this is just a positive. Now notice we don't write the positive, but I did. And there is no additive inverse of 0. If there was one, it's just 0. And then here we're to simplify. That is, do what they're asking us to do. Just becomes a positive 9/10. Now this comes out as a positive 4. Then we apply the negative. So this is -4. Well, as we read 16, it says that P is positive and Q is negative. Will the sum of P and the opposite of Q be negative or positive? Well, the opposite of Q is a positive number, so positive and positive would make it positive. Now, if P is positive and Q is negative, will the opposite of P be positive or negative? Now this becomes a -5, so that's negative. Okay, for number 18, 19, and 20, we're doing some stock trades and selling and buying and prices, I guess. So you start off with 344, and then you have an increase. Then you have a decrease, an increase, a decrease, and an increase. So it says find the value of the stock at the end of the week. So put this in your calculator. These are pluses, these are minuses, and you end up with this. If the drops were added, what would be the total in drops for the week? Just add your negatives. That gives you that. And here you add your positives. So again, the line going up indicates positive, the line going down negative, and we've kept this one under 10 minutes too.